All right, let's dive straight into this explainer and completely transform how you prepare for your IGCSE exams. We are taking a really deep dive into the absolute best, purely evidence-based revision strategies that top-performing students use to secure those A-star grades. Let's be honest, the step up to IGCSEs can feel like hitting a literal brick wall. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer mountain of content you need to memorize across 10 different subjects, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to fix that today, step by step. So think about your thinking for a second. Does this sound like you? You spend hours and hours highlighting textbooks in 5 different colors, creating perfectly written, beautiful notes, and rereading entire chapters until your eyes literally blur. You feel incredibly productive sitting there at your desk. But then you sit down for the actual exam, flip open the paper, and completely blank out. It's a terrible sinking feeling, right? But it is incredibly common. The truth is, a lot of what feels like hard work is actually a massive psychological trap called the illusion of competence. Science actually shows that rereading only creates a false sense of familiarity, not the actual active recall you need for a test. When you reread your notes, your brain easily recognizes the information, and you tell yourself, oh yeah, I know this, I've got this. But in an exam hall, you aren't asked to just recognize information on a page, you are forced to retrieve it from scratch. You have to pull it from the dark corners of your memory. And that requires a completely different set of mental muscles. Think about it like this. Highlighting a textbook is basically like watching someone else lift weights and expecting to get stronger yourself. It just doesn't work. So, to dismantle those bad habits and build a truly evidence-based study routine, here is our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover the truth about studying, mastering your note-taking, the revision pyramid, hacking the mark scheme, and finally, managing exam anxiety. Let's get into it. Okay, Section 1, the truth about studying. This breakdown brilliantly illustrates the difference between passive recognition and the active testing of your brain, which, by the way, is the real secret to retaining information over the long term. Decades of cognitive science point to 2 massive pillars for success. First is active recall. This means constantly putting away the book and actually testing yourself. Second is spaced repetition. If you think of your memory like a leaky bucket, spaced repetition is how you plug the holes. You review material at increasing intervals, so test yourself after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then a month. Each time you recall it just as you're about to forget it, that knowledge moves more firmly into your long-term memory. Cramming might get you through a random Friday quiz, but it fails spectacularly for IGCSEs that span multiple weeks. You really want to remember this golden rule. If studying doesn't feel a bit difficult, you are probably not learning. The literal effort your brain exerts, that feeling of straining and struggling to pull a fact, a formula, or a definition out of thin air, is exactly what builds the neural pathway to make it easier the next time. It's supposed to feel hard. Too often we quit when it feels tough because we think we're failing. But actually, scratch that. That struggle is the physical sensation of learning happening in real time. Top students, they don't track how many hours they spent staring at a book. They track their retrieval success. Moving on to Section 2, mastering your note-taking. Let's be real, your notes have one job and one job only, helping you remember key content without wasting hours rewriting entire textbooks. Good notes are not necessarily pretty notes. They must be active, meaning they include mini-tests and prompts built right in. They need to be exam-shaped, mirroring the specific vocabulary the IGCSE papers actually demand. They need to be short, ideally just 1 page per topic, and they absolutely must be easy to update with an error log. And guys, an error log is a total game changer. It's simply a dedicated space where you track your common mistakes. Instead of just getting a question wrong, sighing, and moving on, you document exactly why you got it wrong so you never ever make that exact mistake twice. Now, the Cornell method is fantastic because it instantly turns your notes into a mini test by forcing you to use those left side cues to actively retrieve the answers. Instead of just writing down, say, the conditions for diffusion, you write the actual facts on the right, and on the left, you write a prompt, like, state the 3 conditions for diffusion rate to increase. Later, when you're revising, you simply cover the right side of the page and quiz yourself using only that left column. That physical act of hiding the answer literally forces your brain to work. It's an incredibly powerful tool, especially for structured subjects like the sciences or economics. Then we have mind maps. These are perfect for big picture learning and connecting concepts. They're brilliant for seeing how one concept fits into another, which is absolutely vital for subjects like history, geography, or literature. The trick here is to keep your branches to just one word or very short phrases, focusing purely on how ideas link together. Like, how does a specific historical event trigger an economic consequence? You map that link. But a quick warning, if your mind map takes 3 hours to draw and looks like a beautiful Renaissance painting, it's not revision anymore. It's just procrastination. Interestingly, top students actually combine all three of these methods, often using digital notes as an easily updatable master file to track their common mistakes. Digital tools are great because they let you use collapsible toggles. You type your question, hide the actual answer inside the toggle, and instantly, boom, you have a digital flashcard embedded right into your notes. If you get it wrong, you just expand the toggle to check. It's really about building a seamless workflow. Learn the topic in class, condense it digitally, map the big connections on paper, and test yourself repeatedly with those toggles. All right, section 3, the revision pyramid. Before even attempting to climb the pyramid, you need to map your weaknesses by using a red, amber, and green traffic light audit on your syllabus, so you know exactly where to focus your energy. You need to download the official specification for your exact exam board. Go through every single topic line by line. Red means you don't understand it at all, amber means you get the basics but struggle with the details, and green means you are so confident you could easily teach it to a friend. Now, here is the harsh truth. Human nature makes us really want to revise the green topics because, well, it feels good and safe, but you must start your revision exclusively in the red zones. That is exactly where the most marks are hiding. So this pyramid structure takes you on a journey from basic concepts clarity all the way up to hacking exactly what the examiner wants to see on test day. Many students completely panic and jump straight into doing full pass papers a week before the exam. This is a massive mistake. If you don't actually understand the core concepts yet, you are just practicing getting things wrong and systematically destroying your own confidence. You have to build the base first. Once you understand the underlying ideas, then you move up to step 2, practicing topic-based past paper questions. Finally, at the very peak, you master the examiner's expectations, refining your answers to match the exact phrasing they reward. Which brings us to section 4, hacking the mark scheme. Ignoring command words is perhaps the most common way otherwise brilliant students lose easy marks. This breakdown acts as a literal cheat code, so you know exactly when to just list facts and when you need to provide deep reasoning. Examiner reports constantly complain that candidates write long, rambling paragraphs when the command word was simply state, which is a huge waste of precious time. Conversely, if the word is explain, you absolutely must give reasons and use words like because. For example, if a science question asks you to explain a chemical reaction and you only describe what happens without saying why it happens, you will lose the majority of the marks, literally no matter how much you actually know about the topic. We really need to stop just ticking off right and wrong answers. Start treating the mark scheme as a teacher. It is actively trying to show you the exact phrasing and logic that examiners are legally required to reward. A mark scheme isn't just a list of numbers, you know? It shows you where method marks are awarded even if your final calculation is entirely wrong. It shows where independent facts earn points and exactly what alternative vocabulary they will accept. It literally hands you the blueprint for the perfect answer. By studying it closely, you learn to think exactly like the person grading your paper. By following this 5-step diagnostic method, you transform past papers from passive tests into your most powerful personalized revision tool. Don't just do a paper casually while listening to music and then forget about it. Sit it under strict, timed conditions. When you mark it, be completely ruthless. If you wouldn't give it to yourself in the real exam hall, do not give it to yourself now. And here is the absolute secret sauce for step 3. Write down exactly why you lost a mark. Was it because you forgot the units? Did you use everyday language instead of proper syllabus terms? Track these exact errors. Then, a week later, reattempt only the questions you got wrong. That is how real, measurable progress is actually made. Finally, section 5, managing exam anxiety. Look, a healthy brain is strictly required for high scores, so you have got to avoid the junk food that makes you irritable and fuel up with balanced options instead. When you're stressed out, it is so intensely tempting to reach for chocolate, crisps, and endless energy drinks just to power through the night. But these cause massive spikes and devastating crashes in your blood sugar that causes severe brain fog and makes it physically impossible to concentrate for a 2-hour paper. Swap them out for things like apples, nuts, and steady hydration to maintain a steady, calm focus. Your brain consumes a huge amount of calories while thinking, so make sure they are high-quality calories. 8 to 10. That is the exact number of hours of sleep teenagers need every single night to consolidate memories and maximize concentration. Do not sacrifice your sleep to cram. When you sleep, your brain is not just resting, it is actively working. It's transferring everything you learned during the day from your fragile short-term memory into your robust long-term memory. If you cut your sleep short, you are literally interrupting that transfer process. So the absolute most crucial point here is that staying up all night reading your textbook is just pure self-sabotage. So review your traffic light audit, grab those past papers, prioritize your well-being, and start building your own success story today. Remember, the most expensive resource you have right now is time wasted on ineffective studying. Every single minute spent passively reading could be spent actively testing yourself and securing those extra marks. So as this explainer ends and you look down at your notes, you have to ask yourself, are you going to keep settling for the illusion of competence, or are you ready to finally study like a master?